Hey guys, it is about to get real. We literally have, I'm gonna refresh this page, got all these dang ads, but we literally have where Chip Roy on Johnson says he doesn't believe that Mike Johnson has the votes to become the speaker again. And with this, guys, what I'm about to show you next, he just gave an interview and he says we cannot go back to how it was whenever last year Mike Johnson basically bent the knee to every single Democratic whim that happened last year. On top of that, Trump just had a great meeting with the DC mayor ahead of his inauguration and suggests that Canada could become the 51st state. Guys, this is literally breaking news today. So there's a lot happening over where the United States is going, the delays that we could potentially be seeing in the next coming weeks. There's a lot of things that Trump has dropped some bombshell news about what the Democrats are doing in the Senate to try and delay his inauguration, his cabinet members, as well as a lot of the hearings that need to happen that are coming from his cabinet members. So with that, the Democrats are literally making deals right now with certain essentially rhino Republicans to delay not only Mike Johnson's speakership, Trump's inauguration, but to delay his cabinet members like Pete Hegseth, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and try to delay Trump's impact into office as much as possible. On top of that, they're also trying to let the government go into default with our spending, with the debt ceiling. So there's a lot happening, guys. We got a ton of breaking news today. Mike Johnson actually does come out and give us some notice on what happens if we cannot get the cabinet members into place and what the Democrats are trying to do. Because remember, if the government defaults on Trump's second day in office, it's going to look really bad on Trump, even though we've been in this for the past 6 months that they know that something had to be done and they waited till the last minute. We also have it where that same person that told us that the government is about to default, Janet Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, she just decided last night, that she was going to add an additional $3.4 billion in budget aid to Ukraine on top of Biden's $2.4 billion yesterday. I don't understand how all these people have the right to just add on billions of taxpayer dollars to this foreign aid without congressional approval. On top of that, Biden has moved to ban oil and gas leases for 20 years in certain Nevada regions where there's a lot of energy that they can pull from the ground in terms of oil and gas to help lower energy costs for Americans. He's now putting a ban on it for the next 20 years. You cannot make this stuff up. The Democrats and the Republicans are fighting more than ever for what Trump is trying to do. But with that, guys, I want to say thank you to everybody that is watching, everybody that is subscribed. Thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. Remember, we do Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And thank you so much to all of our members of the channel. We're so grateful for your support. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are so grateful for your support and us donating to charity with those funds. But I want to get right into this. We just got this interview that just happened with Chip Roy over what's about to happen in the House because it is getting dirty, everybody. Check this out.
Donald Trump endorsing, as we just saw, Mike Johnson for Speaker ahead of that January 3rd vote. But I want you to listen to what the undecided Congresswoman Victoria Spartz had to say.
I look at people's track record, and unfortunately, we will not be able to deliver on President Trump's agenda, as the same happened in 2016, because it has to be done legislatively if we don't have a speaker with the courage, vision, and a plan. And if Speaker Johnson wants to be a speaker, then he needs to lay out that plan and commit to that plan, not like what he did last year. I can give him a chance, but I would like to hear from him how he's going to be delivering this agenda and what plan he has, and he hasn't been doing it.
All right, well, that's one opinion there. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie says he's still a no, even after Trump's endorsement. He thinks it will work out about as well as Paul Ryan did back in 2016. In other words, not very well at all. Texas Congressman Chip Roy joining us this morning. Great to have you here, Congressman. Big question, of course, is Mr. Johnson going to have the support to keep his role as Speaker? What do you think?
Well, good morning, Ashley, and Happy New Year to all the listeners and viewers out there.
Same to you.
Look, Victoria's a good friend, and Thomas is a good friend, and they raise reasonable concern. I remain undecided, as do a number of my colleagues, because we saw so many of the failures last year that we are concerned about that might limit or inhibit our ability to advance the president's agenda. I respect, like Thomas, that President Trump supports Mike. I like Mike. He's a good friend. But let's consider what happened the week before Christmas. We violated the 72-hour rule twice, which means we didn't have time to read a bill. We had to have Elon and Vivek and the president and JD come in to kill a 1,500-page monstrosity to cut it down to 100 pages. It still spent $110 billion unpaid for. And to my colleagues who say, oh, but that's all just discretionary spending, we also passed $200 billion that is taking money out of Social Security to transfer it, which will hasten the bankruptcy of Social Security by 6 months. That was all the week before Christmas, Ashley. That's a problem. That's not how we should do business. We racked up $300 billion of additional deficit spending after the election. We spent $1.7 trillion last year with more Democrat votes than Republican votes. We gave another $61 billion to Ukraine. My friend Victoria, she's from Ukraine. She has a heart for the Ukrainians, but she understands giving $61 billion to Ukraine after Mike Johnson promised to secure the border first. That's a problem. So we need to have a plan before January 3rd. The speaker needs to speak to it if he wants to have all of our support.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have to follow up at this point, Congressman. Does he have that support or not?
Yeah, right now I don't believe that he has the votes on Friday, and I think we need to have the conference get together so that we can get united. And people say, well, Chip, who would you choose otherwise? There are a lot of great members of Congress. Mike's a friend, and maybe he can answer the call and he can deliver an agenda and a plan. Byron Donalds is a good man and a good friend. I supported him. I nominated him 2 years ago. Jim Jordan's a good man and a good friend. There are other members of leadership in the conference who could do the job. But what we need to do is unite around a plan to deliver for the president. Right now, I do not believe the conference has that. The failure before Christmas, I cannot overstate, is a glimpse to come if we don't organize the conference to be able to deliver for the American people. We are not going to be able to bend on the things that matter. We must cut spending if you want inflation to go down and for people to afford to live in this country. We have to secure the border. We can't be going back and forth on that. We have to give the tools, Tom Homan, the president, Stephen Miller, to secure the border. And we've got to have the plans in place by Friday.
A lot to be decided, that's for sure.
Guys, I'm telling you, like, a lot of people are coming up against Mike Johnson and saying, look, this guy has not kept his word. He said that we weren't going to give any more money to Ukraine unless the southern border was secured, and it wasn't. We still continue to give billions and billions of dollars, and that's why they're reporting now that Chip Roy on Johnson, he doesn't believe he has the votes. He threw out some names out there, Byron Donalds, Jim Jordan, just to name a couple of people that could replace Mike Johnson as speaker, because he's actually going to follow the actual agenda for Trump and not bow down to the Democrats. Now, Trump did come out and say, this is his post from Truth, we've just won a historic landslide and mandate from the American people, but Senate Democrats are organizing to improperly stall and delay confirmation process of many of our great nominees. They will try all sorts of tricks starting very soon. Republicans must not allow them to do that. We have a country to run and many big problems to solve, mostly created by the Democrats. Republicans, be smart and tough. Thank you so much, Lay Lewis, for the super chat. Let's go. Said if Biden's not in his right mind, I hardly think all this crazy spending should be vetoed immediately, 100%. Everybody's talking about Biden's decline. Y'all show Lay some love in the chat. But I'm telling you, everybody, what we're seeing here now is that there is deals being made behind the scenes. Trump sees it. Trump knows it. And at the same time, too, Mike Johnson, I'm telling you, I just don't have a good feeling that if he has gone back on his word multiple times, why should he be trusted? And you say, well, Trump endorsed him and Elon Musk endorsed him. Yeah, because they're trying to just get in office. That's what I believe. But remember, it doesn't stop there. The one thing that I love what Bongino says is he says the Republicans continue to always just let things fly by, let things go by. We have to stop that, especially when it comes to even Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Check this out.
He was on War Room with Steve Bannon yesterday. Mike Davis is one of the best people out there. Mike Benz is the deep state guy. Mike Davis is the Lawfare guy. Don't confuse the two. Davis is amazing in his own right. Davis understands Hunter Biden and the Biden family have a real problem here, too. And ladies and gentlemen, we can't let this go. It is not our job as Republicans on the congressional side to overlook Democrat abuses of power just because it's convenient to move on. I want accountability here. They've done it to us, but that's not the reason we're doing it. They violated the people's trust, not the Republican Party's trust. Watch this.
The reason that Joe Biden did it, obviously, was to protect Joe Biden and the rest of the family. And I would say this is the first pardon for Hunter Biden. Just wait until Joe Biden pardons the rest of the Biden family and himself, because guess what? As House Oversight Chairman James Comer has clearly documented with bank statements, these scumbag Bidens, it seems like every scumbag Biden except for the granddaughter, who they wouldn't claim, has taken over $23 million from these corrupt foreign entities. It's gone into their bank accounts. What the hell were the Bidens selling for $23 million?
Folks, we're not talking about small amounts of money. The problem I see with the Republican Party and the swampier version of it in the past is there's this, let's move on attitude. Let's not move on, folks. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to make a really simple and candid argument for you. This does not happen to anyone else. People are tired of the hierarchical system the left has imposed upon us, where the elites get a free pass and you get screwed every freaking time. If you don't pay your taxes, Hunter Biden had an issue there, a big one. If you were to illegally buy a gun and then throw it in a garbage can somewhere after an incident and then make up a story about it later on, no one's going to say, let's move on. It is not time to move on. It's time to show Democrats, Republicans, libertarians, communists, and anyone else that this is a country of laws. That this, remember in the beginning, no one's above the law. Well, no one is above the law. And Hunter Biden isn't either. Dan, he's been pardoned. Fine, he's been pardoned. Doesn't mean you can't haul his in front of Congress. If he lies, perjury's a new crime. Do you know that? Folks, nobody moves on when you do something. You get caught jaywalking, you're going to get a freaking ticket in New York somewhere if someone's got a political bone to pick with you. No one's going to say, let's move on. This guy's involved in this massive money exchanging scheme with foreign countries through his dad and the family name, which they admitted to. He admitted to it in an interview. My last name wasn't Biden. He admitted to it. No one's moving on. If you did this, you would be screwed. Put up the Washington Post thing again. Obama knew, folks. Look at this article in the Washington Post. They're talking about diplomats working overseas under the Obama-Biden administration in 2015. Man. They told investigators they had already raised alarms about what Hunter Biden was up to in Ukraine. And the Obama team ignored it. There's something going on here. I'm not sure why Obama was protecting Biden. I think it's because, very simply, I want to be clear, I'm speculating. So Obama knew about the Biden crime family. He could have shut it down and he didn't. My guess is he wanted to protect his reputation and didn't want to be seen as a poor vetter of vice presidents, and he picked this guy and he was corrupt. But it could be something more nefarious. In other words, Biden may have had something on Obama too. But there is zero doubt that this pardon happened because they want to make sure this all goes away and that Obama's never roped into it. Because we know he knew. That is conclusive. You want to see why we need, by the way, a new FBI director in Kash Patel and Christopher Wray needs to be fired? I'll wrap up with this, but it's a good one. Here's the great Rand Paul questioning Christopher Wray about why the FBI was surveilling American citizens using 702 and other things like that. And Christopher Wray just totally denying it like it never happened, pretending this is just normal social media monitoring. This guy's got to go. Check this out.
Companies are referring information to the FBI with investigative value relating to foreign malign influence. Now, there'd probably be a great deal more tolerance about that if it's foreign malign influence. But the question is, are you also receiving information on so-called domestic? But what would that mean? Is someone questioning whether paper ballots are an accurate way of running election? Is that good enough for you to be getting our private information because we have a political beef with the way votes are counted or recorded in our country? Is that something that you're collecting information on? Are they giving you information on private things that you've told them? Well, people who question the election, we want to hear about these people, and so then they're giving you this information. Are you receiving information?
I'll give you two classic examples that I think happen with some frequency. One, if we supply information to, say, Facebook or any number of other technology companies about foreign accounts, Russian intelligence service, for example, accounts, when they then look in their system for those accounts, they often find other accounts related to those, and they provide tips and leads back to us about those. That's one example. A second would be a situation where a technology company encounters a threat of violence on their platform, on their services, and they provide tips and leads to us, and we follow up on those threats of violence.
You get it? So if Christopher Wray deems you a Russian-connected account, you may say, well, what's the metric for that? Whatever the hell they think it is. Then they go in and spy on you. You get why the Russian collusion hoax was so important to them and why we need Kash Patel in there? Wait till he gets in there and open the books and looks at what the FBI metrics are for Russian-related accounts. I think you're going to find out a lot of you may be Russian-related. You're like, I don't have any ties to Russia.
Guys, I'm telling you, like the amount of messed up corruptness that we are revealing now is more than ever. John Reppy, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said, Happy New Year's, Patriots. The evil will answer to God. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, John. Y'all show John some love in the chat. Let's go. So, guys, right here, this is super important. Chip Roy, Representative Chip Roy says Mike Johnson does not have the votes to retain the gavel on Friday. Republican Reps Harris, Biggs, and Sparks are currently withholding their support, and even Thomas Massey said he's voting for someone else altogether. Guys, that's already, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that said we're not voting for Johnson, and Johnson can only afford to lose one vote. Here's another post. Representative Chip Roy is determining if Jim Jordan or other possible candidates have a viable path to replace Mike Johnson as House Speaker. These to me are the most truest believers in cleaning the swamp out. But the reason being is because, to me, guys, you cannot make this stuff up. We need reform. I told you earlier, I told you, I'll bring the receipts, guys. Janet Yellen giving Ukraine an additional $3.4 billion in budget aid. That's on top of the $2.5 billion aid announced by the administration yesterday. Like, this needs to stop. We are literally on the precipice of a government default because we are about to hit the debt ceiling, and they are still handing out billions of dollars to other countries. And now I want you to hear what Mike Johnson has to say about the endorsement, about what's going on. Because again, too, y'all tell me, guys, I don't know. I just don't see it. Check this out.
To become speaker again, or to remain speaker, it's not a matter of biology or chemistry or art. It's math. Do you have the votes?
I think we do, Kellyanne. I'm really humbled and honored to have President Trump's endorsement for Speaker again. He and I work so well together, so closely together, and we have a lot of big things to do. He recognizes that what we need right now, I think my colleagues recognize this as well, is a proven fighter and a true MAGA conservative, but also someone who can work with every single member of our very diverse House GOP so that we can get President Trump's priorities over the line. That's what's ahead of us. I think this could be the most consequential presidency and Congress of the modern era because we have to fix everything, and it has to start on day one, so we can't waste any time.
And Mr. Speaker, in 2017, I went to the White House, and on day one, I noticed we had a 35-seat majority for Republicans in the House of Representatives, and yet even with plus 35, you have a plus a handful. It was so difficult to repeal and replace Obamacare, to get infrastructure passed. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act got signed into law in December, not March, because there was some resistance in the ranks. So it sounds like you have a handle on unifying a very diverse coalition. What do you think the first 3-4 major priorities for the America First agenda could actually pass the House and go to the Republican Senate majority first couple of weeks?
Well, we have to do a number of things simultaneously. The budget reconciliation process is going to be the key of the first 100 days because in order to fix all the things that we've got to fix, we have to squeeze a lot of policy changes through that process. And not to get too deep in the weeds, but why that's so valuable is it avoids a 60-vote threshold that's necessary in the Senate under normal circumstances. So we can move the Republican agenda, the American First agenda, through reconciliation, but it takes a lot of coordination, planning, and executing those plans with precision to get that done. And so you'll see a lot of energy on that. We're going to fix the border. We are going to get the economy humming again. We are going to restore...
Sorry to interrupt, guys, but this is, again, I go back to, you have to look at the past. Remember, Johnson said, we are not going to give Ukraine any more money until we have a secure border. What the heck happened with that? So this is my thing, is like, don't tell me what you're going to do, just do it.
Our stature on the world stage, get our energy policy fixed, make sure that we don't have the largest tax cut in U.S. history imposed upon the American people at the end of next year when the tax cuts from the Trump era expire. So a lot of big agenda items on the table, and you're right, it's going to take a lot of work to build a consensus among all the Republicans to get it done, but I'm absolutely convinced that we can. We're going to stay unified, and we are going to get this job done.
One of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard said about President Trump is that he wants to surround himself with yes men and yes women. I know that's not true. Obsequiousness bores him. He likes for people to give him a multitude of opinions, and of course he makes the final decision. It was his name on the ballot, sweeping victory, all 7 swing states, a popular vote. The country looks very red. Mr. Speaker, I think that's an important point moving forward. The fealty, the loyalty is not to a man or even a political party, it's to the agenda. And so for some of those holdouts, for Thomas Massie, who said he's not going to vote for you, for Victoria Spartz, who gave you a list of demands today, for maybe Chip Roy, what do you say about the America First agenda to them that they can glom onto rather than be, I think, disruptors and interrupters to getting a lot of this great policy through that Americans are relying upon?
Well, the 3 members you just named are all good friends of mine. I've spent a lot of time talking with each of them. I spoke with Victoria for about 45 minutes, about an hour and a half ago. I spoke with President Trump most recently about 15 minutes ago. We're in constant conversation about all this. I think that those members and all of them want to be a part of these solutions. They made big promises to their constituents in this campaign cycle, and we've got to deliver upon them now. It's the media and the left that wants to divide us and distract us. We can't fall into that trap. We've got to stay united, and if we do, we can bring about this America First agenda quickly and deliver it for the American people so they see results very early in the year. We have a lot on our plate, but I'm confident we're going to be able to get it done. And I'm really grateful for the support across the spectrum in the House GOP and all the endorsements that have come forward. We're going to unite and get this thing done for the American people.
And you got the biggest endorsement of all in President-elect Trump, because he's signaling to everyone this is the way that we don't interrupt the momentum that's there, and that the policy agenda piece by piece gets implemented. You put it on his desk, he'll sign it, and it'll become law. Many more people will feel the relief. So, Mr. Speaker, in terms
So, guys, again, too, like, to me, the receipts matter. Even with what I'm about to show you right now, ICE is now shutting down programs offering services to illegal immigrants, citing immense cost. So, like, this is happening. We've been talking about it for a long time. These government agencies are so inefficient at getting things done that's why we need an overhaul. That's why, and it's, again, too, these people have been in Congress for a very, very long time. And that's why we say either Mike Johnson, your track record kind of doesn't say true to what you say you're going to do. Same thing with ICE, DHS, the border. They kept telling us for years we had a secure southern border when we know that was a bunch of lies. On top of this right here, this came out today. This is about a big a slap to the face to the American people as there ever could be. Right now, the Amish builders there's been some Amish builders that have headed to North Carolina to help build small homes, tiny homes for people, and to help, and they come from Pennsylvania, to help the North Carolinians, however you say it, and they're literally outpacing FEMA. FEMA has billions of dollars that is granted to them to help with disaster relief. Yet how is it that within 48 hours, these Amish community constructed 12 tiny homes, outpacing, and they did it for only $300,000 that was donated by the Amish community. Guys, you cannot make this stuff up. This is the type of things that I see, you're seeing, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's where, again, too, Trump has some pit bulls around him, just like who you're about to see next, who want to usher in a new era, but we got to clean out the rhinos. Check this out.
She's here. Alina, welcome.
Hi, Rachel. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. So it is a Happy New Year, especially for those of you who were voting for Trump and in this new Trump MAGA moment. What do you make of this conversation I'm having with Molly? Can this goodwill continue? Can this unity between left and right that we're seeing under MAGA umbrella, can that continue into the new year?
Yes, and I think that it's not MAGA, it's America. I think this was the way our country used to be. And I think that thanks to the radical left, we have more unity in this country because they do not want to be persecuted, prosecuted. They do not want to have a country that is divisive. We're America first. You know, MAGA is Make America Great Again. That's it. So coming into the new year, I'm so grateful for everybody that was America first, but more importantly for President Trump, who was bold, who was persecuted, who was attacked relentlessly. And now Americans who were on the verge of being Democrat, some were Democrat, are coming over to the side of America. It's really not a MAGA movement. It's an American movement. And they love our country. We are tired of divisiveness. And we want to bring unity in 2024. That's the truth.
Alina, and yet Joe Biden is playing the blame game. Now he's blaming Merrick Garland. He's saying he wasn't tough enough on Donald Trump. What do you make of that?
Oh, he wasn't tough enough. Was it not tough enough when we spent 3.5 years with indictments, shams, and hoaxes, with cases, and the man had to go all night to go campaign while other people like Joe Biden were asleep on Rehoboth Beach.
Wow.
He had it rough. He had it so rough. But he came out on top because America saw what they did. You know, Merrick Garland, he should be ashamed of himself, what he did, sending DOJs into New York, going after my client, going after President Trump, and going after America, Rachel. That's the truth. It wasn't just about President Trump. It was about our Constitution. It was about the foundation of this country. And they wanted to turn us into a third world country, into a banana republic, and they failed. And, you know, shifting blame to Kamala, him saying things like, I could have beat Trump, it's just a joke. You couldn't have beat him, you didn't beat him, and that's why we won. We won majorly.
Boom.
Alina Habba, thanks.
Guys, I'm telling you, she not only had that to say, but check this out. The biggest thing that we need from our people is reform. Check this out. And this is what we're going to get, because I believe it. Alina Habba, she's right there with Trump. Some of these other ones, I don't think so. Check this out.
We have a real problem in this country with trust. And I know for me, you know, going into the administration, what was important to me was because I really want to make sure that Americans trust our system, that they care about justice, but justice in the correct way. And I think America spoke to that because they said, what is going on? All of a sudden, we're attacking our president. What's going to happen if it's me? What's going to happen if it's somebody without billions of dollars for attorneys? I mean, the attorney's fees that President Trump had to spend alone is ungodly. And then on top of that, to try and campaign and get a message out. You know, when I go in, I can tell you it's so important to me that we find a way to reform this so that you can't have Soros-backed AGs and DAs who have political motivations and are truly puppets of major Democrat.
Come on.
should not have it. It cannot happen. It's not the way our country operates.
Guys, and what they're talking about is the lawfare that's happened against Trump. Remember, a lot of people get killed when it comes to the amount of attorney's fees that came from the January 6th. There was over 5 people that unfortunately they committed suicide. The pressure was so much. And what they're talking about is we need reform more than ever. There's actually another person who has come out and said, look, I'm not saying whether I'm voting for Mike Johnson or not, because we're just going to have to wait and see, because I think somebody else is going to step up. Actually, a representative from my home state where I'm at right now, out of Tennessee. But guys, I'm telling you, it's going to be a fight. I know that Trump and Elon Musk both have endorsed Mike Johnson, but there's a lot of these representatives that say this guy's got to go. Listen to this.
If it were to happen today, would you vote for Speaker Mike Johnson?
I'm going to wait until Friday to make that decision. I will pray about it. I want to talk to Speaker Johnson about some ideas I have, and hopefully that's where he is, and then I'll make that decision then. I think the president, though, has made a huge impact on it. I see that swaying a lot of folks that maybe were neutral or were unsure. So I don't think anybody really in our party wants to start off the new year on the bad standing with President Trump.
Probably not a good idea, no.
Definitely not a good idea. But Congressman, as a follow-up, your colleague, Indiana Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, has not fully committed to supporting Speaker Johnson. Do you think, though, his position is in trouble? And does it circle back to the failed stopgap bills that happened right before the holidays?
Of course it does. Everybody wants everything to pass that they had, but you got to realize that that bill had a lot of unnecessary spending in it. It was supposed to be a continued resolution, and in fact, it had plenty of pork in it. There was $5 billion in there for submarines, and we just passed the National Defense Authorization Act a couple of weeks prior to it, and it had billions more than we'd had in the past. And of course, the Pentagon has never passed an audit, and their business is war, and their business has been pretty good as of late. And hopefully a bunch of those folks are going to go out of business under Trump, because I think nobody understands it better than he does. But Victoria's concerns are very similar to mine. It's just our spending. We cannot continue down this path. You know, the Doge folks, Vivek and Elon, met with us, and they publicly stated they want to cut about $2 trillion. Well, every 100 days we run up another $1 trillion. After all their efforts, you know, their plan is to cut 200 days of our deficit spending. So I think we need to look at a little bigger section of things. We need to look at some of these departments, some of these alphabet agencies really just need to go away or be combined into others. And those employees need to seek other employment elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I could completely agree, Congressman. So the problem, though, is that obviously the vote for the Speaker happens on Friday. The vote to certify the 2024 results is Monday. And that's not a lot of time. This whole process took weeks on end, both with Speaker McCarthy, then Speaker Mike Johnson. There's no time to delay. And so Democrats have said they're not going to help out. They're not helping you this time around.
Wow.
I mean, does that either put you in a difficult position or let's just get Speaker Johnson, give him the gavel back, and we'll have these longer-term fights later down the road, say after we get through the inauguration of President Trump?
Well, that's always a possibility because it just takes one person to bring up a speaker for a vote. And I suspect that's one rule that possibly will be changed. The former speaker negotiated that into the package so he could become speaker, so some other people would relent and vote for him. So I suspect you're going to see a lot of movement in that direction. I think we're going to be okay. I'm not wringing my hands over the constitutional question of not having a Speaker of the House. I think we'll have that resolved Friday in 1 or 2 votes, and we'll get it settled.
Well, speaking of Democrats, they have backed Johnson when he was in trouble before, but they say that this will not happen again. Take a listen to MSNBC discussing this over the weekend.
The last time he was in trouble, Democrats saved him. They saved his speakership, Joe. Democrats are being very, very clear. April's correct. They're saying not this time.
Look, the best thing Johnson has going for him is the calendar. Trump's wants to do a bunch of cruel, aggressive stuff in January. A speaker's mess messes that up.
Congressman, your reaction.
Well, I don't watch MSNBC. I'm not sure those people are. And I would encourage others not to do that as well.
Okay.
But, you know, this is just people on the sidelines. You've got one guy who was a one-term congressman, who was a Republican, and he got beat. And he's bitter, and I understand that. You're not getting much from that. I don't care what the Democrats do at this point. I think we've got the majority. We need to start acting like it. Yes. We can lose one vote. I think Thomas Massey is one that we probably won't get. But if we get everybody else, and I suspect Victoria and the rest of us will compromise, and we'll get an agreement on some spending issues that we're concerned about, a reduction in those spending issues, and maybe some more conservative leadership in some of the key committees that we could really use. And then I think we'll move on.
Guys, so y'all hear this, guys? I mean, it's literally up in the air right now. They talk about all the spending. Bricks News actually reported this. Elon Musk says Ukrainian President Zelensky is the all-time champ for pulling off the greatest money heist in history from U.S. taxpayers. Guys, we're not talking about millions. We're talking about billions. And we're not even talking about 1 billion. We have given the Ukrainians over $200 billion. And remember, we don't have that dang money. So we have to borrow money to give money. And then we have to pay interest on that money that we borrowed. And right now, remember, that in 2024 alone, we paid over $1 trillion of taxpayer money in interest on our own debt, because we can't manage money, and we've got a problem with who is managing money. Remember, Congress is supposed to be the house of the purse. So if they cannot control our money, should they be in the leadership over it? But now we have it too, because again too, there's a lot of momentum, and I'm actually behind them on this. There's a lot of momentum behind Trump and what he's wanting to do. But remember, it doesn't matter if Elon Musk or Vivek Ramaswamy and even Trump to a certain point says if the Congress people don't vote on the laws, things don't get passed. There's a lot of things in 2017, 2018 Trump wanted, didn't get done because Congress didn't vote on it. You have to have the right leadership there. But check this out, because again, too, we still got good news everywhere.
Is the next White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, and she will be the youngest person in United States history to assume that role. Caroline, I cannot wait to see you behind that podium without a big stuffed binder of nonsense. What do you make of this, though? I think it is so fascinating. Caroline, you saw it happening a little bit during the campaign, but an awful lot since President Trump won. So many people are falling out, ripping out their DEI programs, taking down references to January 6th on their websites, and saying, we want to help the public sector, President Trump and his team, through the private sector to get things done for the country.
That's right, Kellyanne, and thanks for having me. It's so great to be with you. And we really are witnessing President Trump build the greatest political movement in history. The GOP is no longer a political party. It is a movement, a pro-America movement with Americans of all demographics. We saw President Trump win the election on November 5th with a resounding mandate. He picked up support from historically Democrat demographics across the board, and 70 million forgotten men and women in this country made their vote and made their voices heard. And that gave the courage of the billionaires in Silicon Valley and on Wall Street to finally express their open and public support for President Trump. And as President Trump has said, everybody wants to be his friend right now, and he's okay with that. He is building a team of people from Wall Street to Main Street who want to make this country great again and help him deliver on the promises that he made to the American people on the campaign trail. Common sense solutions to fix the the problems in their lives. Cutting taxes, ending inflation, securing the southern border, deporting illegal criminals, rapists, and murderers from our American communities, and using peace through strength to end the wars and the chaos that we've seen the Harris-Biden administration cause abroad. It's truly a unifying message. And as President Trump has repeatedly stated, this country will be unified through success. And success is Donald Trump's #1 goal.
It's very obvious, Caroline, that President Trump has a lot of faith and trust in you to do this job of White House press secretary. Even though he communicates directly with the American people, he relies upon the people around him to do the same. So let's picture you behind the podium for a moment, and you see the White House press corps in front of you. Will it look roughly the same in those rows? And the reason I ask is the whole media landscape is changing now. President Trump was able to leverage TikTok. Instead of ban it, he got on it, and it really helped him to disseminate his message to connect with young people. I think a plus 23% margin from before. Also, all these new podcasts. So as legacy media is trying to figure out its next move and survive all these changes, how do you see the White House press corps rows looking when you are peering out at them?
Bring TrueLife.
Well, 3 weeks from today, President Trump will be inaugurated, and I very much look forward to getting behind that podium. He has put together a team of exceptionally qualified individuals to serve in both the White House and across the federal government in his cabinet, and I'm so excited to get to work with my colleagues and my friends to make this country great again. As for the press briefing room, we are certainly exploring ways on how to make sure that room reflects the media habits of the American people in 2024, not in the 1980s. And if this election proved anything, it proved that the American people are no longer listening to the mainstream bias, anti-Trump legacy media. In fact, the ratings of many networks, not this one, but some others, are in the tank. And Americans are consuming their news from podcasters, social influencers, and yes, TikTok, as President Trump so exceptionally used on the campaign trail. So we will look to effectively communicate his message through all mediums so that all Americans are hearing the facts from the White House directly, not through the lens of the ever-biased anti-Trump legacy media.
And I think that President Trump is going to bring back what I call, Caroline Levitt, the democratization of information, where everyone, the stay-at-home mom, the welder on the job looking at his phone at that moment, the billionaire who has 25 people looking over social media for him, everyone receives a presidential communication instantly and free of charge. We miss that kind of transparency. Caroline Levitt, a new mom.
Guys, let me tell you this. I've got a lot of people in the chat right now. Everybody's, I feel like it's like half for Johnson, half against Johnson. I want to show you again. Chip Roy says Mike Johnson does not have the votes to retain the gavel. You've already got Harris, Biggs, Sparks. You got Representative Thomas Massie, and then Chip Roy himself, who said, look, we're not voting for Johnson. And a lot of people are like, why not? We need to get Trump in office. And I know Trump endorsed him, but this is, let me tell you this. This is the actual receipts that you're about to see over what actually happened and what was in the bill that a lot of people were concerned about. Watch this. This is a list of the first 1,500-page bill. This is why I don't support Mike Johnson. It allowed for vaccine and mask mandates. Remember when they forced us to wear masks even though they didn't even work? Remember whenever they said that, oh, it's not, you have to have a vaccine, you have to force this or you lose your job. People lost their jobs. Yeah, guess what? It was in that CR bill. Vaccine passports. We've got 15 plus million illegal immigrants that come into the country, but when it comes to this, they literally had a law in there that they could force vaccine passports on the American people. Newly defines national emergency, think climate, expanded emergency powers for the government, gain of function research, diverts approximately $200 billion away from Social Security. Guys, everything on this list, Mike Johnson agreed to. It was there and he wanted his people to vote for. Prevented investigating or subpoenaing Congress people over the January 6th stuff, where it was literally in the bill, you couldn't subpoena their emails, their phone calls, or any documentation, that they would have like pretty much complete immunity in this CR bill. You cannot tell me that this was supposed to be a clean CR bill. It gave Congress a $70,000 raise right here. It allowed Congress to get off of Obamacare. They want you on Obamacare, but Congress can get off of it. It redefined the national emergency's climate change. It literally gave extra funding to Global Engagement Center. Remember, this is the same place where they were trying to silence free speech. It gave Bill Gates more funding. And then this is all the fat that was in the CR bill. And you want to tell me that Mike Johnson is the guy to negotiate? No, he bent the knee as big as possible to the Democrats on the first go-round, and he wanted everybody to vote for it. This right here is the facts. This is what was in the CR bill. Remember, Trump said he felt blindsided by this. Trump also said, look, him and Vivek and Elon Musk had to come in and clean house because all this crap was in that CR bill. And all this does is make government bigger, give more money to Congress people. Remember, they already make $180,000 a year and diverts money away from Social Security and controls the American people more. That's what Mike Johnson voted for and agreed with the Democrats. So you can't tell me he's a true MAGA. You can't. He can say all the day long, well, I know how to negotiate and work with people on the other side. No, you gave them everything that they wanted. Because for every $10 that Democrats got, the Republicans only got $1. So again, I'm bringing the receipts, everybody. I'm showing you exactly what went on, and that's why you have so many people that say no to Mike Johnson. Because another thing, too, is the energy policies. Remember, I showed you earlier that Biden just signed a 20-year, look at this, Biden moving to ban oil and gas leases for 20 years in the Nevada region, just weeks before Trump's inauguration. Why is he trying to hurt the American people? Right now, things are so expensive because energy prices are so expensive. So listen to what Mike Johnson has to say on that, because again, too, I want to make sure that we get everything out there, but I just don't align with what's already happened in just the past couple of weeks, guys. It's not like it happened a year ago or 2 years ago. Check this out.
So, Mr. Speaker, in terms of energy independence, you mentioned that, in terms of border security, in terms of Tax Cut and Jobs Act, if those things don't happen, what do you see for the country? In other words, paint a bleak picture. These things don't pass, and people say it really doesn't matter who the president is. Why does it matter if we have all three chambers now, if we have the House, the Senate, and the White House?
Well, this is a great blessing for America to have unified government. When you have Republicans in charge of all three of those levers of power, will actually be able to move this agenda. President Trump spoke to the American people directly, and what he said resonated with them because it was common sense. It's restoring America's greatness. It's things that all of us agree with. And, you know, you saw a demographic shift in the election cycle, Kellyanne. Large numbers, large groups of people who had not traditionally been with the Republican Party, at least not in a long time, because they believe in those ideas and those principles. So now's our opportunity to do it. If we don't, then the country that we know and love will not long survive. I mean, this truly is kind of an existential moment for the country. People recognize that in the election cycle, and they gave President Donald J. Trump 77 million votes. It was a landslide, a mandate, and we have to execute upon that mandate now. Now's our time.
The Republican Party, the America First movement is growing, and with that comes some growing pains, no doubt. You mentioned a couple of key constituencies. The media, maybe they want to break us apart. Maybe they want to divide and conquer. Do you see any John Fettermans in the House of Representatives? Those Democratic elected officials, like Senator John Fetterman, freshman member of Pennsylvania, who basically is making joyful noises about the America First agenda, giving President Trump a chance, recognizing that President Trump won his state of Pennsylvania handily this time. Any Democrats you think you could start peeling off to make a difference for their constituents and put partisan politics aside?
Yeah, look, I hope so. I mean, our arms are open to anyone who wants to help us save the country. And these are policies, again, that are common sense, that the people favor. And I think a lot of our Democrat colleagues see that, particularly those who are elected in close districts and swing districts. I think they want to be a part of these solutions. And when you're in an era of small majorities, which we have now, I mean, we'll have a 1 or 2, 3-seat majority at any given time this year. We're certainly open to bipartisanship and having Democrats come along to help us. I think we are going to attract some of those. I think some of them may even be wondering whether or not they should switch parties right now. So this is a great time for the Republican Party, not a great time to be a Democrat. They're in total disarray. They have no leader and they have no vision going forward. So this is a real moment for us, and we're going to deliver.
Speaker Johnson, thank you so much. All the best. Happy.
Guys, again, there's so much things that are literally on the precipice of 100% pushing us into the next realm. And if we don't get the right people in office, we're going to continue like we always have been. Because remember, a lot of these people have been in office for the past 12 plus years. I showed you yesterday that Trump wants term limits. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Trump wants term limits. And he said that if right now, if you do term limits and you impose them on this next election, that 76% of, right here, I've got it right here, guys. Right now, if you impose term limits, 76% of the House of Representatives are gone. Trump's push term limits would cap House members at 6 years. That's 3 terms. And then senators at 12 years. Because remember, senators serve 6-year terms and House members serve 2-year terms. So 6 years for House, 12 years for senators. Under this rule, 73% of Congress would lose their seats, guys. 73%. 3/4 of the current Congress would lose their seat because they've been there past 6 years. That's 318 House reps. And then 46 senators. There's only 100 senators. So literally almost half of senators would lose their seats as well because they've been there for over 12 years. So you see where you've got so many people that are just living and becoming these career politicians. This is what I'm so tired of. We've had Republicans in office. We've had Democrats in office. And guess what? We still continue to spend. We still continue to give money overseas like it's nobody's business. We borrow to give money overseas. We need a true mandate to 100% put America first, clean the spending, clean the corruption, and make sure that we stay true to that flag of freedom for everybody. American citizens' taxpayer dollars need to be put first, everybody. Want to say, if you're watching, thank you so much for watching. And if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button, guys. I've really enjoyed today's show. I love getting to show the receipts, getting to show you the facts. I love interacting with the chat, guys. I'm trying to read as much as I can of what's coming through, and I hope you appreciate that, because to me, this is a community where we want to do what's right for America, and we want to make sure that America's put first, because we've been getting screwed by politicians and other countries for a very, very long time, and that's why we're called True Life. We want the truth in our life, or whenever it comes to our news, and we're not being gaslit. I will never gaslight you. I will never try to manipulate or anything. I want you to see the receipts and the truth 100%. Thank you to all of our members. If you're not a member, the link is in the description to join. And thank you to everybody that's given a super chat donation. Appreciate you so much. Lay Lewis, John Reppy, Ronald Zimmerman. Appreciate y'all so much. We're about to head into a new year, guys, and we need to clean house. I love you all. I'm here for you Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Love y'all so much. I will see you on the